When it comes to welding machines and popping breakers, this is a very common issue. 120 volt machines, we require a 30 amp breaker. It may be larger than what you think should be on there, but we do this because of the spikes that happen in a welding machine. You also want to make sure that that is a dedicated circuit. If there's not any other tools or equipment plugged into that 120 volt circuit and you're running your machine, you should not run into any issues with it popping as long as you have at least a 25 or a 30 amp breaker. If you have a 15 amp breaker and you're using it on its own circuit, you may still run into some issues when using a higher amperage or voltage on that machine. It is also very important on 120 volts that you are not using a GFI. GFIs do not like the spikes that come from a welding machine, so therefore you have to reset that breaker a lot of times when you're using that GFI, so we just do not recommend it being used on there because they cannot handle the feedback from the welders. On 230 and 240 volt machines, we recommend a 50 amp breaker. Once again, this is just because of those spikes that come from welding machines when you're using them, and you just want to make sure that you're not interrupting productivity and you are able to continue welding as long as you want and as long as the machine will allow you. 230 volts is a little more difficult to get things on the same circuit, but if you do have 230 volts and you have two different plugs running off the same circuit, that may become an issue if you have something else plugged into there. You're going to pull too much amperage and that may trip that breaker. Whatever breaker you put into your house, make sure that it is qualified and done by a licensed professional electrician, and make sure that we are rating it to the data plate on the back of those machines. If the electrician needs any help on that chart on the back of the machines or on the bottom of the machines will be exactly what they need to be able to put the sufficient power into your breaker panel and allow for those breakers to not trip. So that is an overview on how to keep yourself from popping breakers with our Forney welding machines.